Once upon a time, there lived a noble king with his wife and beautiful daughter. The trustworthy Princess Amori would later become the new ruler of the kingdom, but before she was eligible, she would have to marry a noble prince. Princess Amori searched near and far, but she couldn't find a prince. Until one day, in front of the gates of the castle, a young man appeared. He requested shelter for the night, for he had traveled for months from afar. All the weary traveler could whisper was a quest he needed to fulfill. He uttered, "An evil witch has cursed me, for I may never find true love. The curse needs to be broken if I want to live." The young man was weakened by the curse, as he was heartbroken that he may never find love. The young man spoke of a hidden flower which would break this curse. The flower was so rare, only one would be growing in the entire kingdom when the moon was round and full. Weakened from the curse, he slipped into a deep sleep. He was unable to carry on. The princess spoke to the king and all of the advisors, and she was told it would be foolish for her to try to complete this young man's quest. She ignored them all. In the middle of the night, she ordered the servants to pack rations for weeks and saddle up her noble steed. So she left in the mist of the night to fulfill this young lad's quest, to seek this rare flower and break this curse, so that he and she may marry and rule this kingdom together. She traveled the mountains, the valleys, rivers, and oceans. After weeks of searching, she stood at the edge of a dark and mysterious swamp. Exhausted, she stepped down from her horse and fell to the ground. Tears rolled down her cheeks into her hands. She wept until one of her tears sparkled as it fell to the ground. A shimmer of light reflected in that tear, but there was no light in the swamp. She looked up in the distance, a twinkle of light. A lone flower sparkled in the moonlight. She knew the witch lived in this swamp, and though going to collect the flower would be foolish, as surely the witch's goons would spot her and alert the witch. As she thought of her prince and the wisdom of her father, she came up with a plan to distract the witch's goons long enough that she could wade through the swamp and collect this flower. She took off her beautiful dress, placed it on the horse. As nobody could resist her beautiful clothes, they always turned heads wherever she went. She said her goodbye to her steed before giving it a firm slap, causing it to run alongside the swamp. She then stepped into the swamp, waded through the thick mud towards the flower. The witch and her goons saw a shimmer in a distance. "A visitor," she murmured. "Let's go say hello then." The witch and her goons were drawn to the light in a distance. The horse's distraction had worked. Meanwhile, the princess had plucked the flower and was making her way back to the castle. After days of travel in her muddy undergown, she finally was back to the castle. She finally cleaned up and dressed in new clothes. She quickly made her way to the young man's room. But as she closed the door, she heard him take his last breath. As it escaped before the door had shut, she was too late. She kneeled down next to him, clutching the flower near her chest. She wept and felt a river of tears flow down her nose, along her cheeks to her chin. But then a single tear fell into the chalice of the flower. It rolled over the petals, down to the prince's lips. A twinkle came from the nectar-infused tear. It rolled in between the prince's lips. With a short, strong breath, he opened his eyes, sat up. His lips turned bright red, a miracle. He looked into the Princess Amori's eyes with a spike of words. My dear love, after all those years, I have found true love. Marry me, for we are meant to be together until eternity. The wedding took place the next week. The entire kingdom was invited. People sang, they danced, they laughed. The princess was married, and the kingdom now ensured a worthy successor. And they lived happily ever after.